evening, gang, and welcome to Tuesday nights here at Reach On Air.
Chris Reardon, Tuesday night, Reach On Air.
Do you know, literally, just as I pressed that button then, I lifted my hand very quickly. Do you ever do that? Like, you push the button. I used to do it when I'm playing the piano sometimes. You know, ding, 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 like that. And you lift your hands very quickly up in the air. And I just pressed this selection of buttons in front of me here, which do various different things. And I pushed it, lifted my hand up, and banged my hand on the blooming microphone stand. Did I tell you last week there's some lovely microphone stands you can buy? Not stands as in more of an arm. I don't know if you've seen them. They've got them on all the heart stations and Capital. I say all the heart stations. There's only one, isn't there? That they network across the blooming country now. And Capital and all those places. It's a lovely arm it is. That's kind of in front rather than the side. And although I suppose I could put this at the front when I think about it, really. I'll have to think of a different way to do that. Anyway, good evening to you, boys and girls. Welcome along to our show. Lots to chat about tonight. You'll be able to call in if you want to as well. We'll be opening the phone line up very, very shortly, boys and girls. And before I came up tonight, I must... Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. There's Mark Bowles. Good evening, Mark Bowles. I was looking for you on Friday. You weren't there Friday, love. You weren't there this morning because, of course, it was your birthday. I've been waiting to sing you happy birthday, dear. And you weren't there, rather disappointingly. Now, of course, being as you are a little bit special, love, you don't get the birthday song that everyone else gets, dear. Okay, so if you don't mind, I'll line this up and I'll sing to you, Mark Bowles, who's just popped up on the chat there. Are you ready, Mark? Because now I think you're going to be 38, aren't you? Yeah, don't leave it too long, right, to chat me up, okay? Because once you've gone over 50, I'm not going to really be interested. So I think you're 38. I've got a feeling you're 38. Okay, so within the next 12 years, at some point, and I wouldn't leave it 12 years either, because then I'll be 72, and you might not fancy a 72-year-old. Maybe you will. You know, some people do, some people don't. I don't think you will. So, you know, I'm still just about within your range. You know, I mean, look at it this way. The good side of things is I'm not double your age, you see. I'm not. I mean, nearly, but not. You know, if I was double your age, I would be 38, 68, 69, 70, 38 times 2, that's 111. 111 if I was double your age, because I'm 60 now. So double would be 60, it's about 111, isn't it? Something like that, which I think is going to be out of your range. So, Mr. Bowles, here we go. Just for you tonight. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear sexy pants Mark. Happy birthday to you. There you go, darling. Oh, it goes on and on the ending. Here we go, listen. Yeah. All right, dear. Sorry. You're a little bit loud. Excuse me. Excuse me, a little bit much on the cymbals over there. Yes, don't get so excited. Honestly, some of these people with these cymbals, they get very excited. Anyway, happy birthday, Mark. He was 37 on, I think it was Saturday. 37 on Saturday. And I've been waiting to bump into you ever since, dear. Anyway, happy birthday to you, all right? Bertie's there. Good evening to Bertie Stevens, who's one of the head honchos here at Reach On Air. Whenever I appear on here, his little pinky finger is hovering over the dump button in case I say anything that's too bad. But I'm not going to do that. I know the line not to cross, dear. He says, I'm cancelling my kids' maths tutoring with you on Wednesdays. Oh, dear. I've got to tell you, actually, I think it was Nick Abbott on the radio. I kind of nicked it from him, the bad maths. And he's on LBC on a Saturday and a Friday night. I used to listen to him all the time, and then he became obsessed by Brexit and Donald Trump and the Conservative government, and he goes on and on. The humour disappeared, unfortunately, so I don't listen anymore. But he used to do this maths thing where he would convert centigrade into Fahrenheit, which, as you probably know, is approximately times 2 plus 30. All right. So 10 centigrade is approximately 50 Fahrenheit. Get it? 20 centigrade, 2040, is about 70 Fahrenheit. It's a very, very approximate. It's not an exact thing. Please, and please don't, for God's sake, don't start sending me blooming formula. You get these OCD people who have to have it correct to the decimal bleeding point. You know, you don't need to be doing that. And anyway, and he would do stuff like, well, it's in the papers this morning, it's going to be 15 centigrade tomorrow, which is about 15, so that's 36, about 217 Fahrenheit, right? And I chuckled as I would be driving along in the car listening to him, honestly. And I started doing it as well. So whenever I had a maths, because I heard him do it, I was just copying him, right? Because I heard him doing it, and I would come out with maths equations like, I don't know, that sort of thing, temperature, or it was in a shop and it was 2 for 1 and it was 25 pence each and I bought 2, so that's 25, that's about £3 altogether, okay? So I'd started doing it as well. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that then come up in chat boxes and start sending you furious text messages saying that I've got it wrong. Because they don't get the joke. They don't get it. Right? And I would say, are you really? Just hang on a minute, let me just do that again. And I'd do it, and I'd come out with a completely different answer. But it still wouldn't be correct. And they still, which no, you're definitely wrong. I've worked it all out. And they start sending you formulas. You know, x over 2 minus 3 with a tangent and a blooming triangle. I don't know what it is, all that algebra. What's all that algebra? Come on. Who has that helped in real life? Actual algebra that you sat there in your maths lesson completely and utterly bored to tears, weren't you? Eh? Oh, my God. What on earth was that maths teacher talking about? Algebra. I left school. Have I used that since? Answer, no. What a blooming waste of time. Anyway, Bertie's not having me doing his maths. Well, you please yourself, mate. It's your loss. Yeah, I'll do it a lot cheaper than a teacher, and I won't go on strike. There you go. How's that? And hello to Dave Squires as well. If you'd like to join in the show this evening, you can do so. And we're going to talk about teachers, actually. I thought we might talk about teachers as one of the things today. I want to know about your favourite teacher and your least favourite, or teachers that you hated. And you can tell me why. Please tell me why. Use the excellent Reach on Air message box, okay? That takes preference over all other messages. The Reach on Air message box is the first thing I look at. Then I look at the text messages. Okay? You can send a text tonight. How exciting is that? I'm going to give you the text number in a moment. Please stand by. Please stand by with the text number. Okay? Get your pen ready. I'll give you the text number. You can text straight into the show. There's the YouTube chat box I'll be in and out of, and also Tik Tok chat box as well, which I'll be in and out of. But mainly you'll be able to call in. First of all, here is the text number, my darlings, all right?
You can send Chris a text message right now on 07451 287 337.
Got it?
07451 287 337.
There we are, my delicious looking people this evening. That's the text number. Yes, teachers. Teachers, boys and girls. You remember being at school? Which teachers did you hate? And which teachers did you really like? I'd like to have a little think about that. I know we'll open the phone lines very, very shortly, boys and girls. I have to say, before I came up today, I went down to... I popped down to Audi, actually, before I came on the show today. this evening, because this afternoon I went down to the co-op. I wanted some bagels, right? I went down to the co-op and I got no butter either, and I went in there and I chat to everyone when I'm in shops and places like that. Do you do that? I mean, quite honestly, sometimes I'm talking to these people behind the till and maybe stacking shelves and all that, and I notice their eyes start glazing over while I'm talking to them, and they kind of try to, I've just got to go, and they walk off. I don't know why that is. The same used to happen to me in pubs when I was chatting someone off. I'm just going to the toilet, and they wouldn't come back again. I don't know what all that's about. So I went in there and I chatted a while and I got my bagels and I got home. I thought, I'll have one of these now. I'd already had my dinner, which was a spaghetti arrabbiata, which I make myself. I don't buy jars of spaghetti sauce. I make it all myself with chopped up tomatoes and some spices and stuff like that. It's lovely, it is. I got a great big thing in a big overnight hot pot type thing. What's it called? Slow cooker type thing. It all works very well. So I had that. And I was a bit low on the spaghetti today, so it was more sauce than spaghetti, but it was all right. And a little sprinkling of cheese on top. Well, actually, it's half the packet of the chopped up cheese, grated cheese stuff. That was very nice. And then I fancied some bagels, so I went down there and got the bagels, and I come back. And I thought, well, I'll have these now. And I also got giant crumpets when I was in there. Have you been in the co-op and seen those? They're on special offer. £1.30 for three, or no, £1.40 for three, or £1.50 for six. Well, you're not going to buy three, are you? So I bought some of those, and I thought, well, I'll have beans on those before I come and do the show today. So I've got back. I put a bagel in the toaster, and then I went to my butter, and I thought, oh, Christ. I've got a tiny, tiny little sliver of butter left, which I had on that bagel, and I thought, I'm going to have to go out again now. And I thought, I can't be bothered to go out again this afternoon, because it's been a horrible day here. What's it been like where you are? Really awful. Just grey and wet and damp. Completely different to what it was yesterday. Yesterday, the sun was out. I had the solar panel man round yesterday. He was doing the electrical work inside the house. They put the solar panels up last week, and he was wiring things up. So we're now producing electricity on both sides of the roof. I had solar panels put up on the west side of the roof about 14 years ago now, and I decided to put solar panels on the east side of the roof, and they went up last week. I've also included a new battery, great big 5 kilowatt battery it is, which is in the cupboard quite close to me here, and any extra, instead of it going just down the grid and losing it basically, it now charges the battery up. During the daytime, which it did very well yesterday. Not so good today because it's so blooming cloudy. So that's all been wired up, although he's got to come back and do another little couple of bits and pieces. There was supposed to be, he expected there to be a cable where the immersion heater is. And that was going to be, he was going to attach this thing called an eddy to that. So any excess electricity will then go into the immersion tank and heat up the water. Basically for nothing, right? Instead of, again, it going back down the grid. But unfortunately, there's no connection in there. So I've now got to get an electrician in to run a cable from the fuse box downstairs. Also, I mean, it's all money going out at the moment. It's a blooming expensive year so far, I tell you. Really is. So I've now got to get an electrician to run a cable up. And also, the fuse box is really old. There are no circuit breakers in there, just the big trip fuses. Enormous switches they are, so he's advised doing that, and I thought, well, I might as well get it all done at the same time. So I've now got to wait for them to do that until the other bloke comes back and puts the eddy in and also changes the old inverter that collects the electricity from the old solar panel. So lots happening here really at the moment, and that's just how it is. But the weather's been just awful, you know. So that was yesterday. So tonight I went down to Aldi to get me butter and a few other bits and pieces, and I had beans on giant crumpets before I started the show today. Very, very, very delicious. And while I was having that, I thought I'd just flick around on the telly. What a load of crap on the telly tonight. I couldn't believe it. There's no dramas or anything like that. You know, like we used to have Holby City on a Tuesday, didn't we? 8 till 9. And I've got to be honest with you, if that was still on, I probably wouldn't have requested this slot, this 9 till 11 slot. I would have preferred to watch Holby City, but that went nearly a year ago now. So the crap on the telly at 8:30, right? Get this. All cheap crap. BBC One. Interior designs. You know, and there's this camp queen on there. Oh, she got on my nerves. He was getting on my nerves. He was surrounded by these blokes trying to do these jobs. Oh, well, I think that should go. I thought, oh, shut up. You know, give the gays a bad name, dear. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so there's an interior design. BBC One, already yawning. Then I switched over to BBC Two. Guess what? Another cookery programme. The Great British Menu. More crap. Surely ITV have got something decent on. Ready? A gardening programme. Love Your Garden. Oh, no. Well, Channel 4's always at the cutting edge. Turned over there. Bear Grylls. I can't bear an alpha male. I can't bear an alpha male. I can do anything. I can do it. Oh, you might be able to do anything, but can you do it with flair, dear? Can you do it with flair? No. Bear Grylls was on Channel 4. I thought, one more chance. Channel 5. It was something about dogs. Britain's favourite dog, or love dogs, or something like that. And that, my dears, was the choice on the 5 main UK channels tonight. Crap, 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 crap. Thank God I'm here to do a programme. That's all I can say. At least people... At least people have got something interesting to watch rather than all that. I wouldn't mind if these like interior designs or the Great British Menu, Love Your Garden, I wouldn't mind if they're perhaps every week they could introduce some catastrophe there. Like, for example, the interior design, you know, the blokes would be working in there, the camp queen would come in, they'd leave, and suddenly the ceiling would collapse on the queen. You know, I'd find that very funny. Or the Great British Menu, you know, where they're all served some piece of beef that someone's ponced around with and put all these stupid flavours on it. I wouldn't mind that, you know, so, and everyone gets food poisoning. And we then visit them in hospital. Blah, they're chugging up everywhere. You know, Love Your Garden. You know, why can't they be digging the garden and suddenly they dig up, I don't know, a dead budgerigar or something like that someone had buried years ago? Now, that would make it more interesting. No, there they are, planting rose bushes, cutting the grass, same old crap as all the gardening programmes. You know, Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls. Now, I remember, and this is why I don't like him. There was a particular Bear Grylls programme some years ago where he had to find something to eat, and he stood outside this cave of bats. Anyone remember this? And he made all the bats fly out. I don't know if he made a noise or something. And then started whacking them so he could catch one to eat. Oh, well. What a man you are, mate. What a man. That's like those Norwegians, isn't it? Have you seen what the Norwegian lads do? They go into the sea and kick the hell out of all these dolphins. First of all, they fence them off so they can't escape. And that makes them a man. Yeah, if you say so, mate. No, it makes you a... Well, I don't dare say it. It begins with W. Begins with W, darling. And on Channel 5, dogs. Now, I don't know what sort of catastrophe we could have at dogs. Perhaps we could have a few dogs on there with one leg trying to hop around. That would make it more interesting, but no. Oh, look at the little dog here. Oh, isn't it pretty? Let's just give it a try. They're the 5. That's what was on the 5 channels tonight. Crap, crap, crap. No dramas, no comedy, no variety show. Awful. Preceded at 7 o'clock by the ever-going bland The One Show. I mean, how boring is that? Oh, hello and welcome to The One Show. Crap, 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 crap. Bring back Stuart Hall and it's a knockout when they let him out of prison. Hello to Greg. Greg says that's why we need you on here. Well, we got to have a laugh, haven't we? We got to have a laugh. I did have a disaster today. Okay. But, yeah, let's chat about your teachers first. Is there any teachers that you really hated or really liked? Let's talk about that first. And if you want to call in about that, there's a phone number which I'm going to give you in a second. Get your pen ready. and I'll give you the phone number, and we'll open the lines immediately. First of all, let's say hello to Paul in Ashford. Evening from Ashford. Excited to see Thursday's upcoming episode. Yes, Picard. Paul's talking about Picard, which me and my mate have been watching. And I'm going to say it. It is the best Star Trek I have ever seen. This recent series, this newest series, and final series, sadly, of Picard. Absolutely. Is it fantastic or what? And I've liked most of the Star Treks. I wasn't keen on Deep Space Nine. Didn't really do it for me. I found it very repetitive. I really didn't like Enterprise. I loved the original series. I loved The Next Generation. I adored Voyager with the beautiful Catherine Captain Janeway. I'm really liking Strange New Worlds. Okay, there's another series of that coming out. I wasn't so keen on Discovery. I found it very hard to keep with it, if you see what I mean, trying to work out what's going on. I think a lot of the writing these days of TV programmes and what have you is complicated. It's a bit too clever for me. Perhaps younger people can understand it a little bit better than me. I just like to sit there with my legs up and enjoy the programme. The same thing happened with Doctor Who when the other bloke was writing it, not Russell T Davies, the one before him who was writing for Jodie Whittaker. I mean, I'm watching it sometimes and it was jumping around all over the place. I couldn't work out what the hell was going on. We can't enjoy it like that. But this series of Picard, which is on the Amazon Prime, is just amazing. And all the old characters are coming back. All the old characters from Next Generation are in it. Thank you, Paul. Good evening to Maureen this evening. Evening, Maureen. And good evening to Gary Ross as well. Are you ready for that phone number? Tell me this evening about teachers you adored or teachers you hated and why.
Call in now, 020-8144-3477.
Have you got a teacher that you really hated? Today is the day you tell me about them, gang.
Call in now, 020-8144-3477.
Or maybe there's a teacher that you loved. Did you have a little crush on your English teacher, boys? Eh? Did you have a crush? My niece is actually kind of a teacher. She looks after children who have got some sort of problems, who can be quite violent, actually. She's taken a few hits and kicks and punches from them before, but that's what she does. And I would imagine the little boys, you know how they are, like 8 years old, they fancy Miss, don't they? Miss!
Call in now, 020-8144-3477.
All right, good evening to Vera from Vera's Choice in the Morning. Hello to DJ Sparky. He's in charge of likes on TikTok this evening. Good evening, Mr. DJ Sparky. Dan Woodhouse is in the house. Good evening to Dan. Welcome along to you. All right, welcome along to you there. Fran Green is with us this evening. Good evening to Fran, you lovely person. DJ Sparky, do you like the jingles, do you? You like the jingles. Thank you, DJ Sparky. DJ Sparky likes the cooking teacher. Here we go. She was young and fit and we was cooking food. She always rise up my temperature. Rises his temperature. He's got a bit hot round the collar, did you, DJ Sparky? Did I fancy any of the teachers? I'm just trying to think. When I was at school, I don't think I did, actually. There wasn't any particularly good-looking male teachers, really. You know what boys are like in the playground, though. Talking about the female teachers, of course. You know, it's a little bit too much, but that's what boys are like in the playground. And I sometimes I do wonder to myself, what do the boys say about my niece? You know, when they're walking around the playground. But yeah, it's just how it goes, isn't it? There we are. Beans on crumpets. Vera has never heard of that. It's very, very nice. Beans on crumpets. You should try it. Why don't you try some beans on crumpets, Vera? Adam's here. Good evening, Adam.
Good evening, Chris. How are you?
All right, not bad at all. I haven't told them my disaster yet, so don't bring it up yet. We're saving that for a little bit later on.
Bring it up.
Eh?
I won't bring it up.
Thank you. Don't bring that up, or your dinner either. There's nothing worse than listening to someone being sick on the phone. Blah, blah, which I recently did when I saw another picture of Gemma Collins.
Well, that's a natural reaction.
How are you tonight? What you got for me, Adam?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, just finished switching the boilers off at the Civic Centre.
Oh yes,
So,
you do. What work have you been doing? Adam's a plumber, by the way, if you didn't know.
Yep. Today I have been fixing taps, dealing with sewage, burst pipes, and shutting down the boilers because the computer doesn't talk to the boilers at the moment, so they've got to have them. They've got to have them reprogrammed, so we have to manually shut them down.
Not like my Hive. I can just tell my my Amazon device to turn my heating on and off.
Indeed you can.
Well, I noticed with some of the smart plugs, for example, Amazon turn TV on. She says okay, but nothing happens. You have to do it a second time. Why is that?
Does do that. I'm not sure. I mean, I've just had to. I use an app called TCP to run on my smart devices because I have a thermostat, not a Hive one, but a sort of Joe Bloggs one.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it cost me about 40 quid, and it does wonders. You know, you don't have to spend sort of £200 plus the hub and all the rest of it.
Homes are becoming smarter and smarter, aren't they? Indeed,
they are.
with these new solar panels. And in actual fact, the old ones will start doing the same thing when they change this box called an inverter.
Yep.
I have apps on the phone now which tells me everything. Oh, do you know, a sweet just dropped out of my mouth. Where is it? Oh, looks like a little tablet. Same sort of thing we used to have at Turnmills. But, yeah, so I've got this little thing on my phone what tells me what's coming in from the solar, which of course at the moment is 0, right?
Yep.
How much I'm pulling in off the national grid at the moment, 430 watts.
Yep.
And my home is indeed at this moment using 430 watts. Some of that would have been coming off the new battery, right?
Sure.
But the battery is now down to 5%. Oh, hang on. Oh, Jesus, I've swallowed that bleeding sweet. I hope it didn't go down the wrong hole. Hang on.
Could have a live death on the radio, folks.
I'm not sure if that went down into my lungs or my stomach, to be honest, but there we are. Don't laugh. That's not funny.
It might have boosted the ratings, a live death on the radio.
Actually, if it goes into my lungs, that's all right, because that'll melt, wouldn't it? It'll melt and come back up. Dear me. I think it has, you know. Oh, God blimey. Anyway, so the battery is 5%, and once it gets to that, it doesn't supply anymore to protect itself. I think that's why. So the battery didn't really charge up much today at all. But it all comes on the app. And actually, if you go into settings, you can change it doing things and all sorts. Very clever.
Well, I discovered the other day a new feature for my own one at home. I can say to my Amazon, switch on the heating, and then immediately say, Amazon, in half an hour, switch off the heating.
Oh, yes, I can do that as well. Well, I do that with my electric blanket.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm downstairs about 20 minutes, half hour before I go to bed, I say, Amazon, turn on home blanket. Because I've got one at the caravan as well. So I could turn on caravan blanket. And I usually do that if I'm around my nephew's house. And before I go back to the luxury Waterside Media Centre, before I go back there, I turn on the electric blanket. So when I get back, I get straight into bed. I get into bed and I lay there and say, Amazon, turn off electric blanket in 20 minutes. And it's fab. Isn't it fab?
Yeah,
how it all works like this.
That was brilliant. That that I could do that now. That I can actually turn it off in sort of 20 minutes time. Because sometimes you just forget. You think, you wake up and
God,
the heating's still on.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the same with the hot water. You see, I always use the app to turn that on because that's like set to 30 minutes. I know a lot of people. They have their they just leave the hot water on. and it keeps at that same temperature. I find half an hour once every 2 days is enough. Because bear in mind, I only use the shower at the weekends.
Yep.
Reason being, of course, I use the shower at the gym swimming pool. And I've had my shower up there today. So every day I have a shower, but I only need that hot water tank to be on sort of half an hour every 2 days. And I do that with my app so that I don't... So, if I hit boost, just boost, it comes on for half an hour. I've just done it now, actually. I've just done it now. Comes on for half an hour, and then it'll turn itself off, so you don't forget it's on, wasting gas and electric. And God knows we can't afford to do that anymore.
Indeed.
Yeah. Have you thought about solar panels at all?
Not as yet. I mean, I'm quite lucky that where my property is, I get the sun all day long.
Right.
On the front, it literally.
Oh well, you're the perfect house, mate. You're the perfect house.
Yeah. But at the moment, I'm trying to get planning permission to get a driveway in.
You see, I'd do it the other way. Well, I don't know. Do you have trouble parking then? Do you?
Well, because I've got the three vehicles, because I've got mine, Royston's, and my work van.
Yeah.
It's not so much a problem parking; it's the vandalism and everything else that goes on.
Oh, have you been damaged then?
The van's had its windows smashed twice. The car, my old banger as I call it, has had the wing mirror knocked off 3 times.
No.
And the previous Royston's previous car, the Mini, joyriders came around the corner and wrote it off along with 3 other cars.
Oh no.
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's one of those things. That's what insurance is for. No.
Oh yeah, it's just a complete and utter pain to get insurance payout. So, I think I've only done it a couple of times, and it was both car issues before. The trouble is, you insure yourself up to say £10,000 for the house. You get broken into, and and then they come around and say, well, we'll give you 7. Well, you've insured for 10. Where's the 10? Well, we only think it's 7. And that's it.
Yeah,
so that's why I only insure things that I'm forced to insure, to be honest.
Yes, I mean, it's like me with our pets. You know, I had pet insurance for the dog and the cat. Now, the cat's 21 years old now, and the dog is 7 years old, and he had what's known as a hematoma in the ear, which is like a blood vessel in the ear that puffs up, and they have to lance it and then do that. So they did that once, and it went away. We went away, and we had to put him in kennels because our friend that was going to look after him couldn't look after him, so we had to put him in kennels. Right. And gave him the medication at the kennels. Said, here's the medication for the dog. Please give it to him. Came back, they hadn't given him the medication. Had the hematoma again. Took him back in. Tried to claim on the insurance, and they said because it was an existing condition, they wouldn't pay out. So that was it. I immediately cancelled all the insurances. And I've never used them since. So I'm saving probably around about £300-400 a year.
The delightful Mark Bowles just sent you a message. Basically, he says, Adam, that's Shepway for you. Utter hole. Except
I don't live in Shepway.
Dear.
Actually, when I did live in Shepway, I had no problems.
Oh, really?
Shepway is an area of Maidstone that is, let's say, a little bit less desirable. There's a lot of council families up there. Not that there's anything against council families.
Do they have rough lads around there then? In tracksuits like Mark Bowles?
Oh, yeah, almost definitely.
I might make a visit.
And also, I have a lot of traveller families up there as well. But actually, me living up there for just over a year and a half didn't have one single problem. I could leave my wallet on
I don't mind if there's like a sort of a trouble husband round about 35, 40 years old that our missus needs to get rid of. I'm quite happy to take one of those on. Possibly at the same time as they're married. I don't mind. I'm not fancy. Beggars can't be choosers. You know what I mean?
Indeed. I know the feeling.
Dear, I don't know if that tablet's gone down which hole now, to be honest.
Oh dear.
Shut up, Mark. Don't be rude.
So you're talking about teachers tonight.
I'm talking about teachers, yes. Go on.
Yes. My best teacher was, you've got to remember, I was at school in the late 70s, early 80s. So
Right.
my favourite teacher was a Mr. Metcalf.
Mr. Who? Metcalf?
Mr. Metcalf, he
Right.
was. And basically, every time, if you ever went off ill, like if you had sickness or whatever,
Yes.
he'd always put a get well card through your door with a Milky Way inside.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And-
what a nice thing to do.
And that was every single child in his class he'd do that for. I found that
Wow.
years later. And he was absolutely lovely. He, you know, if there was a problem, he'd sit down with you in a corner and talk it through with you, you know, and everything else like that. And
How lovely.
always time for the children. But every time a child was ill, he'd put a little get well card, you know, through the door with a Milky Way in the middle of it.
What a lovely thing to do.
Yeah.
So that
it
was
was
your
really
favourite
nice.
one. Did you have any you didn't like?
Yeah, there was a Mr. Beetlestone.
Miss who?
Now, Mr. Beetlestone.
Beetlestone. I mean, it sounds
Beetlestone.
nasty. As soon as you said the name, I thought, no, you don't sound like a nice person.
Yeah. And he would literally, I mean, everybody. I mean, I've looked on our history group for our school, and all the comments about him over the years, how evil he was. He used to throw blackboard erasers at people.
Oh, we
He
had
used
that
to-
all the time at our school. The maths teacher was a very good shot. He never hit anyone once.
Hey, he used to pick you up by the scruff of your neck and throw you out the class if you were being too noisy. Literally by the scruff of your neck and throw you out. And he was also in charge of the train.
Yeah, yeah.
So everybody absolutely detested him, and he was a really nasty, scary person.
Oh, dear.
Reading back all over, so you know, complete different opposites, but both worked in the same school, and but my favourite school teacher now, of course, is Royston.
Is he a school teacher then?
He's a SEND school teacher, the same as your niece. He
Oh,
gets
I didn't
beaten
know
up
that.
regularly.
Does he get
Yeah,
a little bit of a whack now and again by the kids, does he?
He almost got knocked out the other day by a student. If you can imagine a student, do you know Katie Price's son Harvey?
Yes.
He was about that size, and he went to he was what they call a meltdown, because a lot of these children have autism and some of them are Downs and what have you. So they have what known as meltdowns. They can just flick of a switch. They can just flick, and he literally flashed out his hand and his fist, and it caught Royston right on the back of the head, and it almost knocked him out, and he sort of had to go to the nurse's room and have a lay down for a bit, and you could sort of see the stars and hear ringing in his ears. But that is quite a regular occurrence, and unfortunately, you know, they only get minimum wage for doing that.
I bet he's of the same opinion. See, when my niece tells me these things, I'm like, oh, do you want to be doing that? And she's completely on the side of the child.
Oh yeah,
You know,
100%,
she's
yeah.
like, Chris, what you have to understand is that they have a really hard life. A lot of the
they do.
parents are like drug addicts and stuff like this, she says, and they're not loved. All they want is a bit of love. And that's her general opinion. She's so good. And I've got to say, the same as your Royston there, I think you've got to be a very, very special person to do that sort of job. It's not something I could do. You have to have an immense amount of patience. An immense amount of patience to try and deal with people like that. And she's quite right. You know, these kids, some of them have been abused either verbally or worse, as you well know, without going into that sort of thing. All sorts of different. There's all sorts of different abuse. You know, there's a lot of it's mental and all that. But you imagine going to school and coming back, and you've got to cook your own dinner, perhaps because your mother's passed out on a blooming bed because she's either drunk or taken something dodgy or something like that. I mean, it must. What sort of life is that for a child, eh?
Not at all. I mean, it's evil, but he mainly deals with the special needs sort of spectrum, with the autism and the Downs and Asperger's and all the rest of it.
Wow.
So he can be, you know, it can be with one student, and they can be lovely as pie, you know, be all loving, and then go to the next student, and the student will literally, without going into too much detail, they could rip off their pad, what they wear, to because they don't have control over their bowel.
What is a pad? What do you mean a pad?
Their pad that they wear because they don't have control over their bowel. So like an
like a
adult
nappy.
Yeah, and
Okay.
literally they will, they need changing.
Right.
They're non-verbal, so they will rip their pad off and literally throw it at him.
Okay.
So it deals with all kinds, and as you say, it does take a very, very special person.
I mean,
to
it
do
really
that.
does. I didn't know that's what what he did. I know he was into care. He did
Yeah.
caring type
He-
things, but I didn't really know what.
He used to be into elderly care
Right.
and dementia, and that's evil as well, But we won't go too deep into all that tonight because
No.
don't bring the show down.
Just teachers. Well, it's interesting to hear that.
Anyway, yeah. So that was all really. But,
Good. All right.
Interesting subject, teachers.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
We need
Good
them.
teachers, bad teachers.
Yeah, but
Lots of strikes going on. I tell you what, one of the things, like when I was at school, and the same with yourself, if it was too hot or there was snow, we were still expected to come to school. There was no closure days for teacher training or this or got to have something painted. The school never closed. And even if it was snowing, it was 6 inches of snow, which was quite often back in the 70s, as you well know.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
actually, what we had more than snow was this blooming fog in London.
Yeah.
And there were many, many times I was getting on this 85 bus from Roehampton to Fulham Broadway to go to my secondary school in Fulham, which was the London Oratory School. And sometimes I was on this bus and I'm like, how on earth does that driver know where it's going? The fog was that thick. You just couldn't see.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
And
it was crazy, really, wasn't it? How
yeah,
thick it wasn't.
the fog in those days. But the school never closed.
No.
If there was fog or 6 inches of snow, if you didn't turn up, they'd still want you to a note from your parents to explain why you hadn't turned up at school.
That's it.
No
I'm gonna-
lateness. You were late. Well, you should have left earlier.
Yeah,
Not
that's
like
it.
that
I'm going to
now, is
offend
it,
some
eh?
people here now, but
Oh, they've got a
I
day
think-
off. Got teachers training.
yeah, I think school when we went to school was certainly a lot better because obviously some people agree with it, some people don't. I'm one of these people that do agree with it. If you do something wrong, then you get punished for it.
Yes, I think so.
A lot of people don't agree with that now, but I still believe the world would be a better place.
That's what they're
if we
all
could
running
have-
amok now. No one has said no to them.
Yeah.
Nobody has said no.
And
That-
the problem is, my little nephew, when he does something bad, and I found this out, and I thought it's absolutely wrong. Apparently, when he's done something wrong, it's not him it's his behaviour that's being bad. So, if he goes up to the judge in 20 years' time, and the judge says, you nicked that car. Oh no, you're wrong. It wasn't me. It was my behaviour that did that.
What do you
That's
mean you're
what they're
being...
being taught.
What?
Yeah, that's what they're being taught now.
Oh.
It's not the child that's bad. It's their behaviour.
No one has said no to them. That's why. The problem
Yeah.
is, this has been going on for decades now, right? So how do you turn that back around again? Their parents were not said no to. I mean, look at these blooming millennials. Oh, what's happened?
Exactly. They were never
What have you
said no
done to your
it.
phone, dear?
Oh, nothing as far as I'm aware.
It sounds like you put it down the front of your trousers then.
Oh,
You went all muffled.
anyway, lovely chatting to you, Chris.
Yep, you too, Adam. Thanks for calling in.
I'll let somebody else get on the airwaves now,
Thank you.
and I'll enjoy listening to the rest of the show. Take
Enjoy
care,
your
Chris.
show. Enjoy my show even. Tell Olaf. Bye now.
I'll enjoy everybody's show.
Yes, good. Dave Squires will be after me. Tell Olaf. Thank you, Adam. Hello to Darren Askew. Hello to Darren. He wants to know, have you drunk your bottle of Prime? Yes, I have. That was ages ago. That was 2 weeks ago, the bottle of Prime. I did have the empty bottle sitting behind me for a while, but that's gone now as well, Darren. Did I say hello to Mr. Squires? Good evening to Dave. He'll be with you at 11 o'clock, singing through beautifully some of the ballads that he plays there. Hello to you. Good evening to the lovely Shania. Evening, Shania. She's on the Isle of Wight, all preparing for the Easter activities, the Tridium. Aren't you, my darling? Hello, Shania. Hello to you. Good evening to Rob Shabby Kershaw. who says, sorry I'm late. He's walked 45,000 steps over the past few days, 22 miles total walked. That's excellent, Rob. 22,000 miles. Let me see how many steps. I usually do about 10,000 a day, somewhere around that. I've also worked out that if I put my phone in my pocket when I'm up at the gym and on the treadmill, of course, that adds to it as well. So let's see what I've done today, Rob. So what you would have done, about 23,000 a day. Today I've done, one moment please, 10,542 today I've done. There we are, 10,542 steps. I've walked nearly 4 miles today. Thank you, Rob. Good evening to you. Mark, you're just so rude. You really are, Mark, honestly. And I haven't got a wrong one. There's only one. It is the correct one. And perhaps you'll get a close look at it one day, my darling. Thank you very much. Pneumonia. How do we get onto the subject of pneumonia there, John? I'll read out the text. John says pneumonia is inflammation, swelling and infection of the lungs or large airways. Aspiration pneumonia occurs when food or liquid is breathed into the airway or lungs instead of being swallowed. Well, I hope that hasn't happened. I'm not coughing so much now. I think it might have gone down the right hole, but even if it went down the wrong one, I'm sure my phlegm has brought it straight up again. Possibly. Where are we going? I'm just trying to keep up here, my darling. It's a one moment. Beans and crumpets. There we are. Right. Fran, what do you think of Mandalorian? What is that, I don't know what that is, Mandalorian. What is that, darling? Let me type it in. Mandalorian. What's Mandalorian? Is it a space western? I haven't seen that, darling. Oh, it's on Disney Plus, dear. We can't afford subscription television. Oh, dear, I've just about got me Amazon. No, I haven't got Amazon Prime. My mate's got it. He's got that. I've got something else, which I can't mention. Yes, I can. I got Netflix. I haven't got Amazon Prime, though. No, my mate's got it. Mate's got it. Right, let's have a look on YouTube there, and then we'll play a little piece of music for you, my darlings. Or shall we play the music first? I'll tell you what, yeah, let's play you a little tune now, my darlings, all right? Little tune coming up. Are you ready for little tune?
I'll wait till the morning. I'll fight this alone. On my road to ruin, I'll follow you home. Whenever we'll get there, we'll start with a name. 2 kinds of behavior. I'll take 3 for the team and play again. You showed me the fire in the desert sun. I felt the desire and the warring have begun. When all this is over,
Welcome back to the lovely Vera, who says that was a great song. And thank you, Vera, for sending me that. Looks like a little chick or something like that. Robin Glasgow, hello. Are you playing any songs tonight? Well, that was the first one, my darling, okay. Vera says, my teachers were too old and crusty. Were they really? How awful. You poor old thing there. Evening to Mandy Davenport. Mandy and Mick in the house this evening. Good evening to you, Peter Remington. All right. Let's just scroll up here quickly. I think they're talking to each other in there, so we can't kind of do that. There we are. Bum, 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 bum. Peter Remington, on the subject of dodgy places, says, I used to do a regular delivery to Bristol Knoll. Always made sure the cab was well locked. Was it a bit dodgy up there, was it? Was it a little bit dodgy up there? Dear me. Just to let you know, boys and girls. Oh, hello to Jason Hughes. Jason Hughes is there this evening. Good evening to Jason. And Janice Pope. Evening to Janice. Peter Lake up in Woodall Spa. Good evening to you, Peter. Welcome along to the show there. I think that's everyone in there, is it? And there we go. Nice and quickly guard there. Poor old Dino Klein is freezing. Well, turn the heating on then, you tight-fisted thing. Honestly, your religion shouldn't stop you keeping warm, Dino. He's DJing at a straight football match tonight. Are you really? What time does that come down? I'll be straight down there, mate. Hello to Benoit. Evening to Benoit. I'm sorry, sometimes the messages do take quite a while to come up because we get so many of them. We're very lucky that everyone wants to join in, you know. Peter says, I liked his English teacher. He liked his English teacher, Mrs. Hersey. I like two things in particular about her. I've always been partial to a set of twins. Well, you are naughty. Mick Davenport had a crush on his art teacher, Miss Roxburgh. She was a Norwegian blonde. She had big brushes. I don't know what quite brushes are. I'm not quite sure what brushes are, but there we are. Thank you very much. And John Paris says, our English teacher, Mr. Pope, was a bit like you, Chris. Was he really? Well, you should have reported him to the police then if he's doing that sort of thing, my dear. How rude. Thank you very much. Jason, best teacher I had was in the last year of primary school. Strangely enough, he had the exact same Christian and surname as my dad. Look at that. Mandy Davenport hated her science teacher, Archer, so much I broke his nose with a blackboard rubber. Do you know, Mandy, that really doesn't surprise me at all, my love. Listen, you don't muck around with Mandy. It's funny, Mandy. Well, there's another Mandy who works in Audi, right? And you don't really want to muck around with her either. Very, very strict. Never, ever remove that red teal closing thing on the conveyor belt if Mandy's put it there. She will have you. There must be something about Mandy's. They don't have a problem. They don't need men to look after them. You know, don't muck around with Mandy. Thank you, Mandy, lovely lady. Jason's wishing Mark Bowles a happy birthday today. There you go. Isn't that nice? There we are. Very nice. Good. I think we got to the top there. Let's come back down the bottom under there. And that's excellent. Right. Don't forget that text number if you want to text into the show tonight and join in, boys and girls. The text number is...
You can send Chris a text message right now on 07451 287 337. 07451 287 337.
A very good evening to the lovely LaBelle joining us in New York, where it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon there. Evening, LaBelle. Queen of all bingo now, I think. Queen of bingo and brunches and everything. Evening to you, LaBelle. Welcome along to the show. Darren says, I hated school, Chris, so can we have some pain and suffering, please? Yeah, but who for? You know, if you've got a nasty teacher, please tell us, and we can issue pain and suffering. Mandy Davenport is standing by. We haven't had to call on her services for a while, and she's getting a little bit twitchy. You know, Poor old Mick Davenport has had to suffer a few blows around the head from Mandy because, well, she needs someone to hit now and again. She's just that sort of person. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, nothing wrong with that. You would have made, I think, Mandy, in the 1960s and 70s, obviously you weren't old enough, but you would have made an excellent teacher in those times, I think. Yeah. Board rubbers being thrown out. The cane. I think you would have been particularly good at the cane, Mandy. I had it twice. There was a deputy headmaster and a headmaster. My headmaster was Mr. Gaffney. He proudly announced that most boys got at least one good lashing from him. And I have told this story before. I hope I'm not going to bore you. But I remember going down. I can't remember what it was. Our school was extremely strict. You got caned for the slightest of things. Talking at the back of the class, I think, is what I did. Yep, I'm sure that was the case. Anyway, and I was sent down. And then you have to stand in a row. There'll be a few boys waiting to be dealt with. Stand in the front entrance hall. Okay. And eventually, one by one, we'd go in to see him. Reardon, come through, boy. And you're going, he'd be terrified, absolutely terrified. And then he'd sit in his chair. Stand up there, boy. Stand up straight. Okay, what are you here for? Oh, I've been talking at the back of the class, sir. And he'd give you a telling off. And he'd say, right. And then he'd get up. It was like theatre. He'd get up slowly from his chair and walk over to this cupboard, which was on the other side of the desk, behind where I was standing. And he'd open this cupboard, and there would be several canes there, different ones. And he'd be talking to you while he was walking over, you know. Telling you why you shouldn't be there and all this business, why you shouldn't be talking at the back of the class. Then he would select a cane. Okay, boy, and then he'd stand there and he'd wiggle them a little bit, these canes in front of you. It's all about, you know, frightening you, really. And then he said, okay, put your hands, lift up your blazer, boy, and put your hands on that chair, and you put your two hands on this chair. And then there'd be a bit of a delay, all building up the scare tactics, I think. And then he'd whack you. Bloody hell, did it hurt. Oh, my God, it hurt. So, that was him. And then I got caned once by the deputy headmaster, who I got on with, you see, because he was very musical. And I was in the school band. I used to play the timpani drums, rather. And, oh, what are you doing here? You better come in. Okay, what's happened? Okay, oh, I was talking at the back of the class. Oh, Chris. Okay, well, I'm going to have to give you a bit of a caning. It's words to that effect, you know. He said, okay, just stand up there, stand up straight, that'll be fine. And he whacked me a couple of times, not particularly hard, I must admit. And he said, okay, don't want to see you down here again. How's the music lessons going? It was a bit more like that, you know. But once you've been sent down, you know, they had to deal with you, I suppose. And that's how it was then. And it stopped you talking at the back of the class. Now, I don't know if I should have caning or not again, but I mean, it certainly kept us all in check, you know. But there we are. And I think my favourite teacher there was a lady called Mrs. Thomas. And she was the music teacher there in my first year. Sadly, she was only there in my first year, Mrs. Thomas. And she was from like Austria or Norway, somewhere like that. And she would be explaining her notes. Her notes were like, the crotchets were I got it. She would go tarte, ta. And she was explaining it to us like this. And she was very flamboyant. She used to dress sexily, I suppose you could say. She had the high heels, the beautiful colours and all that. She was a real character. But she was only there for my first year. And she was replaced by this little woman called Miss Miller, who I wasn't keen on, really. I felt like she was just doing the job rather than any more, if you see what I mean. And then later on, we had a music teacher called Mr. Ferguson, who I quite liked. He used to smoke a pipe in his office, and there was no windows in his office. He used to put a record on, and he'd go in his office and smoke his pipe a bit. And then when he come out, all these clouds of smoke used to spill out into the classroom. He was a real character, Mr. Ferguson. Lovely man. And very, very talented as well. He used to write his own music and all this business, I quite liked the science teacher, Miss Moochim or something like that. Bit mad. Most science teachers are a bit mad, aren't they? And the teachers I didn't like, well, the PE teacher, because I didn't like PE. He wasn't a particularly horrible man. I just didn't like PE. But the worst one was the history teacher, Mr. Wayne, whose idea of a lesson was to say, read chapters 2 and 3 of the book and I'll ask you questions about it tomorrow. I mean, the lessons were just pig-assed boring. They were awful. Just so boring, these history lessons, Mr. Wayne. I think she got married to the PE teacher, Mr. Kaczynski, eventually. And Mr. Lapp, she was the RE teacher, and she was very strict as well. But not as bad as Mr. Lapp. I bumped into Mr. Wayne, not as bad as Mr. Wayne. Mr. Lapp, I bumped into her years later, and she was ever so, hello, Chris, how are you? I said, oh, I'm all right. What do you do? I said, well, I'm a DJ. Really? I said, yeah. Oh, you'll have to do a fundraiser for the school. And I said, yeah, just let me know. Oh, I never heard from her again after that. And I met up with my headmaster. Although that's now like 28 years ago, I just rang up the school when I got to about 32. I said, you're still there then? Do you remember me? Yeah, you used to play the drums. I'm like, how do you remember me? Well, I do. What can I do for you? Can I come in? Yes, of course you can. I said, well, what do I wear? What do you mean, what do you want to wear? I said, do I need to wear trousers? He said, no, just come in whatever you are. I'll take you around the school. And I met up with him. And I bumped into him again at Christmas time for the school carol concert, which they have at the Brompton Oratory Church, the last day of school. And then the school breaks up from that church. And now and again we send each other a text sort of once every couple of years. He must be approaching 90 now. He must be. He was a very, very good headmaster. He became headmaster when Mr. Gaffney left while I was still there. He's really good. Totally dedicated to that school. Totally dedicated. Dave Squires says, my best teacher was Miss Sim, who was my RE teacher. She was so lovely and still in touch with her even today. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I think that's wonderful when you can keep in touch with a teacher that you got on with, isn't it? That doesn't happen enough, does it, eh? Thank you, Dave. Dave's with you after the 11 o'clock news tonight. Hello to... Oh, I'm sorry. I did see another name come up there. Where is it now? Where's the name? I saw another name come out to read. Can't see it now. Mandy Davenport, our music teacher, Withy Wood in my school was Mr. Smith. He was gay and he didn't care who knew it. He was the best music teacher going. He made music lessons a great laugh. I so agree with that, Mandy. You know, if you can make your lessons interesting and perhaps amusing, then you're halfway there. The maths teacher was a bit like that. He was quite funny. The best thing our maths teacher used to do was he'd get a piece of chalk and he'd literally put his elbow on the blackboard and draw a perfect circle in two halves. And I always remember the first time we saw him do this, he said, right, watch this. And he did this on the blackboard, went like that, one way, one, and the class went mad. All clapping and cheering. He was great. The maths teacher was good. Yeah. And the French teacher was the typical French teacher, Mrs. Mattel, I think it was, or something like that. The swimming pool teacher was a bit odd. He was just strange, you know. The metalwork teacher, Mr. Cooper, he was nice enough, but I wasn't very good at anything to do with making stuff out of wood and all that sort of stuff. I'm trying to think of any geography teachers. They don't really stick in my mind, so they can't have been particularly good. Biology, he was all right. As I say, Miss Meeson, that was the science teacher. She was nice, and then there was a bloke as well who taught us that. Yeah, we had some good teachers there. Peter Rimington said these days the kids would give the teachers the cane. I think you're quite right. Yeah, you're quite right there. Anyone else want to call in about teachers or anything else? You can call in now.
Call in now. 020-8144-3477.
And as we open the phone line again, Vera's on the line. Good evening, Vera.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
You're right, darling. Are you ringing in about our little teachers, my dear?
Teachers, yes. As I mentioned on TikTok, that my teachers were too old and crusty to be liked or
Old and
admired.
crusty. And isn't it funny,
Old and
Vera?
crusty.
Now that's you.
No, the teachers. I was young and agile.
Yeah, if you say so. Did you ever get punished at school?
Oh, God, yes. I mean, the girls weren't excluded from punishment.
No,
Oh, no.
no, I don't think they
Everybody,
were they?
Cats, dogs, squirrels, you name it, they got punished.
What was the punishment that you received? Was it physical or detention or something like that?
Well, you got detention and you got the odd blackboard duster thrown at you. That's why I should have been a dodgeball player because I was very good at dodging those.
I bet they never hit
chalk.
anyone, though, did they?
No, because everybody was looking and dodging out the way of it. I mean, you know, you had chalk thrown at you, books, whatever they could get their hands on it was going flying across the room.
Reardon?
So our eyes were constantly ahead of us because we knew this teacher was going to throw something.
Yeah. Frightening,
But
really,
then-
isn't it?
But the teacher, there was one particular teacher, he was a Welsh teacher, and he got really physically violent with one of the kids in the class.
Oh, really?
And it ended up in a massive fight.
Oh.
I mean, it was really, really bad.
What, just
and I
him
don't
and
know
this
what
one-
happened to him afterwards.
just him and
I mean,
this one-
we must have been about 14 years old, 14, 15.
Was that just him and this
Love.
one boy, or did other people get
Yeah.
involved?
One boy.
Right.
Yeah. But he was always on our case. I mean, if you were 1 minute late, it was detention.
Yes.
1 minute late. There was this boy that used to live just around the corner from where the school was.
Right.
He was late every day.
Was he?
Every day. Because he only lived, a minute away from the school, and they
Yeah.
couldn't understand why he was always late.
Gosh.
Whereas everyone else had to get buses and walk 2 miles just to get to school on time, and he was always late.
Yeah. Blimey.
But same as you, we went to 3 different schools. We didn't just stay at one school for our lives. We had 3 different schools. So whatever you did at one school, the other school didn't know about, so you could start all over again.
When you say I didn't stay at one school, well, I did. But when I say different schools, I mean primary school, then secondary school. That's what I mean. I think I went to 2 primary schools. One was in Peckham, possibly St. Joseph's. The other was in Roehampton, the Sacred Heart. And the secondary school was the London Oratory. So actually 3 schools I went to, yeah.
Yeah, 3 schools, yes. Because I started school when I was 4 to the age of, I think it might have been 11.
Right.
And then the other school was from 11 to 13, 14,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
14 to 17. 3 different schools.
Did you have a
So
favourite
whatever I-
teacher then?
Did I have what, sorry?
A favourite teacher?
I think my art teacher was, I can't remember his name that long ago, but he was, you can always tell an art teacher because he had a
Oh, yeah.
particular jacket
Camp.
and he had those brown patches on his elbow.
Yeah, they're all camp.
Yeah.
Our art teacher was David. There was David and another one. And the other one turned up at one of the places I was DJing at. And he came, Chris, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm DJing. Oh, it's quite funny when a teacher turns up, years later, a place you work. Anyway, tell me about your art. I was crap at art. I was so rubbish at art, I can't tell you.
Well, I wasn't that bad. I mean, I got by with art. I mean, I also had a French teacher called Mrs. Roach.
Right.
Now, you can imagine what we did with that name. Mrs. Roach. And she, funny enough, she owned a record shop
Oh, right.
in Leytonstone, the school where I used to go to. And I was quite surprised. I went in there one Saturday afternoon, and there she was behind the counter selling records. And I thought,
fancy that.
my French teacher, what's she doing in here? Took me by surprise.
Were you recognised, or did you go in secret
Yes,
disguise?
but it was Saturday, so I wasn't bunking off school, so it was
Right.
a Saturday, so
Right,
that was fine.
right.
I was allowed to be out and about.
Yeah.
But you daren't do that sort of thing at school. It wasn't a dumb thing anyway, missing school and stuff like that.
No, it was certainly
It
wasn't
wasn't
in my
worth the
days.
hassle.
No, you just didn't do it. You would be. I think when it comes to the cane and all that, I think we preferred the cane. There was nothing worse than 3:30 coming, and then you had half an hour's detention. I mean, that was
You
a
only got
killer.
half an hour? Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Half an hour. It's more like 2 hours for us.
Oh, sitting there for another 2 hours. And the funny thing is, if you were late home, you didn't start getting your parents start turning up because you hadn't got home on time or anything like that, did you? We had
No.
detention a couple of times, but I don't think it was ever more than half an hour. But that half an hour, it just seemed to go on forever. And here we are now, 16, 26, 36, 46, 50, 44 years later. How quickly does 20 minutes go now?
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, when I got detention, it wasn't. They would say you need to tell your parents you will be late home because you've got detention. It happened on the same day.
Yes.
But for me, because I was in most sports teams,
Yes.
my mother and father just thought I was just playing netball or doing something or the other. So I didn't have to tell them, so they never knew.
Right.
So if I was there coming home 2 hours late, they just didn't bother. It was like, oh, she must have been doing netball match or something, and forgot to tell us. So I got away with that one.
Yeah, there was quite a few like football things and all that going on if you wanted to do something after school. I think they did stuff like that as well. Various different clubs and what have you. I know there was like what did they call it now? There was like an after school club, and you could go there, and there'd be like kind of part of the kitchen would be open in there, serving hot dogs, as in roll and sausage, that sort of thing, roll and sausage, and various little drinks you could buy, and you could play games in there. I don't think it was there was a thing called the homework. I think the homework club, where you could, if you thought it was just so busy at home all the time you couldn't study, you could stay at school till like 6 p.m. in the library or something and do your homework in there before you went home. I can't fault the school I went to, really.
Yeah.
If I had more intelligence in myself, I probably could have done extremely well. I don't know, become a owner of something, or a great engineer perhaps, or a politician. We did all this stuff, or even a priest. It was all there. But I wasn't really very intelligent, unfortunately. But I had a little bit of talent elsewhere. So there we go.
But I think the best time ever has to be when I was 17 in the sixth form.
Right.
That year in the sixth form was the best year of my life.
Go on, tell us about
being
it.
at school, because it was sort of like a pre-time. You're like a pre-adult,
Right.
and that's when the teachers treated you like an adult, because we had our own common room.
Yes,
And if the
yes.
teachers wanted to come in, they had to knock on the door
All right, yeah.
before they were allowed in our common room. They couldn't just walk in because it wasn't allowed. They had to knock on the door. And when we heard that knock, then we knew we had to hide everything that was in sight before they came in.
Right.
So in this common room, everything went. We had alcohol. Some people were smoking cigarettes. We had a bit of a gambling session going on in the corner. Card game over here. We had a record player where we would play music. We had everything going. As soon as we heard that knock, oh my God, things went flying out the window.
Yeah.
Alcohol was down the sink.
You're quite right
Money.
about that whole trip. I stayed on in this sixth form. It was a waste of time in my case. I didn't really learn anything extra. But yeah, we had the common room, and we were certainly treated differently as sixth formers.
Yeah.
But if you did
Yeah.
do something wrong, the general answer would be, you're old enough now to know the
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But my particular favourite was the card game. I wasn't particularly good at it, and I kept losing 2p's and 1p. It was 2 and 1p's that we were betting with. And when we heard a knock on the door, guess who was the first one to scrape all that money into their pockets?
The teacher.
It was me.
Oh,
I
you!
was
Well done,
quick
girl.
to grab
Well done,
the
girl.
pot and run. I was quick to grab the pot and run out the door. And they'll say, "Where are you going?" I said, "I've got a lesson now. See you, bye."
Yeah, I like to hear that sort of thing, Vera.
Yeah, and being drunk at school as well was not a good idea.
Tell me about a teacher that you didn't like.
Well, there was one math teacher. He was not particularly nice. I don't mean nice in a bad way, but he was a bit. I was very wary of him because he used to target the girls in very suggestive ways and things. What he was
really?
doing. I mean, back then, we didn't know that we should have reported things like that. But
That's
now
right, yes,
you look back on it, you think, "Oh, that was so wrong what he was doing," but we just didn't know it was wrong.
Was there a teacher that you fancied, Vera?
No, I told you they were old and crusty.
Oh, okay.
I mean, teachers back then it was more brains than beauty.
Yeah.
Back then. There was one French teacher called Mr. Massiver. He came from the boys' school and decided that he wanted a job, and he got the job in a girls' school. He didn't last very long, not amongst all those girls now.
No. Different.
he couldn't control the girls.
It's a different mindset, ladies and men. It's a completely different mindset, isn't it? The way girls
But
are.
the funny,
Sitting with a
but the
group of
funny
girls
thing
or sitting
was,
with a group of boys,
with the girls' school, because I went to Connaught Girls' School in Leytonstone, and just down the road, not that far away, was Norlington Boys' School.
Right.
Now, Norlington Boys' School was the same school that Jonathan Ross went to, the same year as me.
Oh, right, yes, yeah.
So he was at the boys' school while we were at the girls' school, and the girls used to go down to the boys' school, and the boys used to come down and see the girls.
Right.
So so when I met Jonathan Ross years later, we had a chat about that. I said, did you go to Norlington Boys' School? He goes, how did you know that? Because I went to Connaught School. And he was like, wow, that's incredible. Because he was born the same year as me, 1961.
It's a small world,
yeah.
isn't it? Eh?
It was a small world, but then his world was a lot bigger than my world, as you can imagine.
Well, it is
He
now,
went
anyway,
on to
isn't it,
do TV presenting and
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
And I went on to go behind the scene rather in front of it.
Well, you were still at the BBC, weren't you?
Yes, behind
You were
the
still
scenes.
there behind the scenes.
I
Nothing wrong with
prefer
that.
Yes, I preferred the behind the scene rather than in front of the camera.
Some people
to be honest.
do. Yeah, some people do. Actually, our very own JK on here on Reach on Air, his son prefers to be behind the scenes. He likes to do. They do shows there at the school.
Yeah.
And he likes to do all the techie stuff, working the lights and the sound. He doesn't really
wow.
He has no interest in being on the stage. And of course, any sort of performance requires both sorts of people. You can't have one and not have the other, because then who's going to turn the lights on and off and stuff like that,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, well, there you have it.
All right, Vera, thanks for calling in, my dear.
You're welcome, and I shall speak to you soon.
Have a lovely evening. Ta-ra.
Take care. Bye.
There we are, our lovely Vera from Vera's Choice in the morning there. You can always hear her in the morning. Weird City says, good evening, Andrew. Says, I'd love to go to school today to see how it's changed. Big time, I would imagine. Big time. Good evening to Richard Crooks. Evening, Richard. Mandy says, WAG School once got the letter from the school before our mum signed it as our mum and gave it back to the school. They were none the wiser. Did you do something wrong? That was possibly the worst thing. It didn't happen to me. For you to get a letter to take home to your mum or dad, I can imagine there were some bums really slapped hard when they got home by their fathers at the time. Peter Robinson said the best time at school was home time. Yeah, I go along with that, Peter. I didn't particularly enjoy school. I had a real problem learning stuff. Perhaps I've got some sort of learning difficulty. I still have the same problem now, to be honest. Certainly, it might be an age thing now, but certainly, when I've learnt to do something, if that thing changes, like, for example, a computer program or Facebook. I mean, how much do we hate it when suddenly Facebook changes? I bet if we looked at the first ever Facebook and look at it now, I bet it looks nothing like it did when it first came out. And we hate it when it changes, doesn't it? And I do have a problem learning new stuff. Actually, with some of the DJ equipment now, I look at this stuff, like a mixer, for example. Now, a mixer I've got next to me here on the left is large, but it's fairly basic. There's no, like, flashing lights on it other than the sound levels. You know, I see some of these mixers now, some of these girls and boys use when they're DJing, covered in little flashing lights, this, that, and the other. I think, what on earth do all those things do? You know? Crazy, isn't it, eh? Miles is there. Good evening, Miles. Ah, the lovely Miles. Evening, sir. He loved school, West Hill Primary, then Wandsworth Boys' School. Now see why I'm gay. Oh, I bet you were popular at that Wandsworth Boys' School. That's gone now, isn't it, Miles? I think it's gone now. Years ago, when I was in the Scouts, First Roehampton Scouts, we actually used the stage at Wandsworth Boys' School to do our gang show. I think twice. We were very impressed. It was a lovely stage you had there with curtains and all the rest of it, like a little theatre, wasn't it? Yeah, down Sutherland Grove, wasn't it? Sutherland Grove. Yeah, I used to go past her a lot when I was fixing the phones for BT as well. Remember Wandsworth School? That was a bit rough there. Dear me, it was rough. Nice to see you, Miles. Thanks for joining in today. Don't forget, gang, you can call in about this or anything else this evening, gang.
Call in now. 020-8144-3477.
Okay, Mick Davenport had a 3-foot wooden ruler across the knuckles. Painful. Mick also got a clip round the ear occasionally. Yeah, I mean, policemen used to do that, didn't they? If you caught you doing something, get a clip round the ear and taken home to your father, and your father would do his nut. Why isn't it like this now? Nowadays, the father would more likely take the side of the son, rather than accept the fact that he's done something wrong. What changed? What changed for all this stuff to happen? I don't know. Let's pop over on the text messages there. Hello to Janice Pope. Evening, Janice, who says, have you seen Warship Tour of Duty on iPlayer? I really enjoyed it. I know you like war films, so maybe give that a try. I will give that a try. Did you say that's on Netflix? Warship Tour of Duty. Hang on. Warship. What's it? Tour of Duty film. I'll have a look at that. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. I do like war films. I really do. What was the last one? I remember I watched the one with Harry Styles in it. That was good. He only had a small part, but good film. Good film. And there was another one recently. There's been a couple of recent ones. Old ones, new ones. I love them all. I tend not to watch films more than once. Really. I don't really watch them more than once, but I do like a war film. Thank you, Janice. There's quite a few on that Netflix, but as I go up and down the list now, I sort of discovered really I've watched most of them. Thank you, Gary. Gary said that was an excellent call from Vera there. Alrighty. Okay, boys and girls. Now, I had a bit of a disaster this morning, and I'd love to tell you all about it. But first of all, another little song for you.
I'll wait till the morning. I'll fight this alone. On my road to ruin, I'll follow you home. Whenever we'll get there, we'll start with a name.
Reach on Air. Adam the Plumber says, I think what changed with schools, Chris, was the fact that they'd done away with the cane and punishment. There's too much violence in computer games. Now, also with modern things like mobile phones, people do not talk anymore and socialise. Amount of times I've asked people to ring someone and they say, oh, I'll just text them, it's easier. Oh, no one wants to talk on the phone anymore, Adam. Absolutely. No one ever wants to seem to talk on the phone anymore, do they? I do hate that. Never mind. Hello to Maria. Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. Hello, Maria. All right, my darling. She says, Chris, I remember the odd blackboard rubber flying about the classroom. That's from Maria, who's in Derbyshire. Good evening to Maria. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we had this a few times, mainly from them. I'm just trying to think. I think Mr. Murphy may have done it. He was our form teacher, our form tutor. I can't remember what the title of that was now. He was a nice man, Mr. Murphy. He was in my first year, and each year that changed. You'd get a different teacher. He was very popular with us. We really liked him. And he did it a few times. But it was the maths teacher. I can't remember his name. Very tall man, built like he goes down the gym all the time. Lovely chap. I just wish I could understand what he was talking about. All the algebra and all that other stuff going around. Thanks, Maria. Mandy says, I'm thankful for one thing about school. I was bullied badly at school until one day I couldn't take it anymore and beat the living daylights out of the bully. And it taught me to stand up for myself. I think you're fantastic, Mandy. I really do. I think you're fantastic. Peter, my maths teacher was a wicked woman. She recently turned up on the school's Facebook page. I was going to give her what for, but it wouldn't be fair to the old dear. Yes. I'm sure that's the case. Anyway, gang, I must tell you, I had a little bit of a disaster yesterday morning. And it was before the solar man came. So I got up 7:15 in the morning, as I usually do, except I wasn't doing my radio show yesterday. Are you hearing us all right on Reach on Air, by the way? Did you lose us for a while on there? Are we still on Reach on Air? Has that got a little bit wrong? There's no error flashing up in front of me here, so I don't know what you're saying there. Can you hear me on the on Reach on Air? I hope so. Someone just text me on the Reach message system, please, and let me know that's working okay. Yeah, so I got up as usual, and then time is ticking away. I'm kind of waiting for the solar man to come, and I thought, I'll get the loft ready for him. So I come up the stairs, got my stepladder out, pulled the stepladder out, went up the ladder, and I pushed up the wooden hatch thing. Usually I'll kind of slide it to the side, but this time I thought I'll just push it back. Maybe it'll stand up there. So I pushed it back, and it popped back down again. So I'll push it. Thank you, Darren. That's all right. Okay. Did you lose us for a while, Dave? For some reason, I think Vera was saying you lost us for a little while on Reach. I'm not quite sure why. I didn't have any error message come up here at all. Dave Squire's with you after the 11 o'clock news, gang. Okay. So I've come up and it popped back down again. For blooming thing. Anyway, I pushed it up. This time I pushed it hard, and suddenly there's water pouring out everywhere. I thought, oh my God! And I quickly moved it to the side, and a pipe had broken. Old plastic pipe. Thank you, Derek. Old plastic pipe had broken. A grey pipe in front of me, which I think Adam the plumber told me once is called Yorkshire Grey. Now, the pipe work in this house is quite old. I gather they used this plastic pipe in Yorkshire Grey back in the 1970s when either they were run out of copper or copper became very expensive. So now this stuff is now very brittle. All right? So I must have knocked that pipe quite a few times in the sort of 30 years that I've lived in this lovely place that I'm very, very lucky to live in. And this water was pouring out. It wasn't just like dribbling out. It was the pipe was snapped. It's now in two pieces. A top bit, where the water is kind of trickling out a bit, but the bottom bit where it is pumping out, Mark Bowles, where it's pumping out like a tap on. It was and I'm looking around now up there. Where's the blooming thing to turn this off? I couldn't find a tap. Anyway, I've got my hand over it, and it's just coming out. It's just, I'm not stopping it, and it's going all in the roof space. On the sponge, what's that called? You know, the insulation. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I've a very quick thinking, I run downstairs. Maybe if I turn the mains water off, it will stop. I ran down those stairs, turned the mains off, come back upstairs, and it was stopped. There was a bit coming out the top. And I thought, why is that coming out the top? Perhaps that's, and it was in it, that it then goes into the water tank. I thought, maybe if I flush the chain, maybe it's just a little bit too high. So I went and flushed the chain, and that stopped too. Meanwhile, bear in mind, we now had a minute's worth of water that had come out from this tap, and it was kind of in the sealer. Oh my God, it's going to drip down somewhere. Anyways, I thought, that's all I need today. Of course, now I've got no water. You can't turn the water on again because that pipe doesn't isolate. As soon as you turn the water on, it's going to start coming out that pipe, because that's the pipe that feeds the hot water, the main water tank, which I worked out myself. Right. Perhaps I'm not so thick as I think I am. The solar man came shortly after that. This would have been about 8:30 now. I rung up the plumber, Bracknell Plumbing. They do all my work. Very, very good. Hello, it's Mr. Reardon. Go, oh, hello, how are you? I said, I've had a little bit of a disaster this morning. She said, go on. So I told her what I'd done. Okay, just a minute now. That's an urgent one. Right, it's 9:15. I can get someone there between 11 and 1. Hopefully he'll be able to fix it. I said, I've taken a photo. Oh, she said, yes, send it to us. She gives us this text number. So I sent her the photo. She said, yeah, okay, he should be able to do that for you. He'll be with you between 11 and 1, so that's fine. Thank God for that. But no water. Shortly after, the solar man came and he started doing his work. The trouble is, you know, when you got a workman in, I mean, what do you do with yourself? do you know what I mean? I didn't want to do the radio show because I was expecting him to turn off the electric, which he had to do a couple of times. And I'm kind of watching the telly, and I'm in the living room, and about 11 o'clock, because he got here at 9. It was about 9 o'clock he got here, 9:15, 9 o'clock. He didn't stop until 10 to 6. He just kept going. Lovely chap. And about 11 o'clock, he came into the living room. Here, mate, there's some water coming through your light. I said, you're joking, where? And it was in the kitchen, in the utility room in the kitchen. One of the light bulbs was dripping water. Not pouring, just a drip. Bit of a constant drip coming down. I said, oh my God, that must have come from upstairs. So why has it come here then? It didn't come on the first floor. So it's found itself down. It must have come through a pipe or something, and it's dribbled along now, and it was coming through one of the lights. He said, I'll turn it off. So he's turned the light off at the switch on the extremely old fuse board, which I need to have changed because I've got no RCDs in there. The breaker things. He said, it's probably just the drips. He said it'll stop. It'll stop at some point, and after I think it was about 40 minutes, it did indeed stop. He said, right, leave that off for a while, let it dry out, it should be all right then. And then just before he left, about 10 to, he said, shall we try that light? And he put it on, and I switched it on, and it came on, but it was making a funny noise, like bzzz, like there was a wasp stuck in there or something like that. He said, okay. He said, let me turn it off again, and I'll dry it out, and we'll try it again. He said, it might be the bulb. The water might have got into the bulb. So I got another bulb out, actually, and he dried it with some tissues, put it all back together again. We put a new bulb in, and it's fine now. So disaster averted. Do you realise how bad that could have been? You know? If that pipe had, I don't know, broken at another point and I'd been out the house, or I'd panicked and not known where the stopcock is, I am amazed at how people don't know where their stopcock is. It's so important. So important, something like that, to avoid an absolute disaster. Have you ever had a water disaster like that, or worse? Maybe you've been flooded. I can't imagine what it's like to be flooded. People think, when you've been flooded, people think, well, it's just a bit of water. No, dear. Sewage. Sewage comes in your house. Crap from rivers. Everyone else's sewage comes in your house, not just yours. Must be a disaster. Have you ever had any water disasters? Why don't you call in and tell me about it?
Call in now. 020-8144-3477.
Or stick your reply to that perhaps in one of the many chat boxes this evening. Have you ever done something like that? Must be terrible. Absolutely terrible. Water in the house. I did have another leak once, and again it was the pipe. There's a bit of this grey pipe behind the washing machine. And I moved the washing machine and I tapped it, and it started coming out. It wasn't too bad to be. It wasn't pouring out, but it was a tiny little hole in it, and it was just awful. And I was thinking, every time I came back out from being out, where's all this water coming from? And eventually I moved the washing machine and this pipe was leaking. And again, bloke come round. Oh, he said, you've got that blooming plastic stuff. He said, look, I can try and cap it off. He said, we'll see how it goes. So he did something to it. I think he had to try a couple of times. And then this cap held. But it was like, when they say to you, just turn the water on slowly in case it goes. Well, I mean, I'm not a plumber, but I know it's been fixed. And the bloke said the same thing to me yesterday. He said, just turn on the water slowly so we can see it's held. And yeah, he said, okay, that should be all right now. I mean, should be all right. Yeah, you don't want something to go like that. And he did say to me, you should always turn the water off when you go out. It stops it, and if you was to have a leak, it can only leak so much, can't it? If you've turned the water off, the pipes can empty, but then it will stop. If you don't turn that water off, I mean, you'd be underwater downstairs, wouldn't you? It would, and to add to that, your water meter going like absolutely mad while it's going. And the bloke did actually say to me yesterday when he'd fixed the leak, and he was a nice bloke as well, Elliot. I think he's been round here before. Big lad, tall, and he was up the steps when he'd done his stuff. I said to him, "What?" He said, "I'm not that happy about it, to be honest." He says because that pipe's moving around quite a lot. It's plastic. I said, what would you recommend then? He said, if I were you, I'd have a new pipe put in. He said, let me have a look. And he's having a look around. He said, I'm not sure if I can push it up that box there and take a couple of tiles off, because I've got spare tiles anyway, they can be replaced. If I can get it through that box there and up there, he said, it won't be too bad price-wise. He said, but if I were you, I'd have a new pipe put in. I said, would that be a metal one? He said, no, it'd be plastic. He said, but it won't be the plastic. It's a different type of plastic, obviously modern plastic. And Adam, the plumber, told me, that all that grey pipe now is come to the end of its life. It's very, very brittle. And all you have to do is just touch it. And it breaks. This was the problem with the pipe that's going underground as well. You remember I had that last year. I've had a lot of water problems recently, haven't I? Eh? Dear me. Vera says water travels. That's probably why it found its way down there. It's weird, you would have thought that tank is directly above the bathroom, but the water didn't drip into the bathroom. It dripped down on the room underneath the bathroom, which is the utility room. I don't know how it found it. It must have travelled down a wire. It's got to have travelled down a wire, isn't it? and ended up dripping through that light fitting. God, that could have been so bad. But it was fixed, so now there's a bloke coming round tomorrow. This is the same plumbing agent, same plumbing people, but a bloke who's lived around here a while, so knows how the houses are built, so he'd know how to run the piping. So he's coming to have a quick look tomorrow between, I can't remember the times now, between 12 and 2. And then I've booked in for the pipe to be done on the 27th of April. And that should be all right. Now, talking of looking ahead, actually. Oh, by the way, those of you on YouTube, I'm sorry, I think you got the same song twice tonight, didn't you? I pushed the same button twice rather than a different one. Sorry about that. Just a reminder, gang, if you're on YouTube, you'll get different music to the people listening on TikTok and, of course, Reach on Air, okay? You get different music due to copyright reasons. Yeah, so sorry about that. Yes, looking in April. Now, there's going to be some weeks I'm not here coming up for April. I'm really busy in April. Next week, won't be here on Tuesday night. I'll be here for the morning shows, but not the Tuesday night because it's more complicated. It needs a phone line coming in and other bits and pieces going on, and I'm not sure we're going to be ready for that Tuesday or Wednesday, come to that, for those of you that watch the YouTube show. The YouTube show may happen Wednesday week, or it might not. Not sure yet, okay? Then the week after, the Tuesday night, I'm back, okay? And then the week after that, I won't be here because I'm at Haven Holidays. And the week after that, I won't be here because I'm in Paris. So I've got an awful lot going on over throughout April. And then we're into May. December, January, February, March, April, May. It's like 6 months since Christmas. And let's hope it warms up soon. I think the weather in Easter is looking pretty good. Vera had a bit of a disaster with water. She says a flat above me, it was coming down into my flat like a monsoon. Which room was that, love? And she had no electricity or heating for 3 months. That's too long, innit? You know I'm a landlord. If none of my tenants would have to put up with that. Is that because it's council? No electricity or heating for 3 months. How can they let you live like that? Is that like Walthamstow Council or what? Who's in charge of that then? And how long ago was that, as a matter of interest? Gosh. Andrew, hello Andrew. All right, Andrew Keenan's in the house. He said it might have travelled between the wall. Yeah, I think probably what happened is that it picked up a wire underneath the ceiling and travelled down the wall, down the wires like that, and ended up coming through this lamp. So dodgy, isn't it, eh? Maria says, on the 23rd of December, a couple of years ago, I came home from work to boiling water exploding over the kitchen from a burst combi boiler. It had been flooding for hours. What a mess before Christmas. And that's the lovely Maria in Derbyshire. My God. It's even worse, isn't it, those when a boiler goes. Actually, round my nephew's house, he had a leaking boiler for some time. It was about 2 or 3 years ago now. They had to get a new boiler. It would leak out the bottom. It wasn't pouring out, but it just kept leaking out the bottom. And they said it couldn't be fixed. And I've got a little place up north that I rent out to people, and their boiler went as well. It was a cracked. I can't remember what it was called now. Something was cracked inside. It sounded like a solid thing. I can't remember what he called it now. If anyone knows what that would be, something was a cracked something in the boiler. Cracked boiler. Well, no, cracked. Are you hoping to seal a boiler clack? Oh, you can seal them, can you? Boiler furnace, split sump. No, I don't know. Causes of boiler leaks. Hang on a minute. Let's have a look here. Pressure problems, seal, cracks. There we are. Eventually the metal may actually crack or split, and you could have a big leak and serious water damage on your hands, because a cracked tank can be a very expensive repair. It was a crack heat thing. I can't remember what it was now. I don't know if anyone else knows what that was there. Awful though, isn't it, eh? Rebel says, my other half sprung a leak last night. I enjoyed it. Oh, you are awful. Gosh. Shocking state of affairs. Just going back to the teacher thing, Peter Remington. My dad never laid a finger on me. He raised his voice and that was it. Not that I was scared. It was respect, something most kids don't have these days. No, I don't think they do. I had a wonderful father. For some reason, I just didn't want to talk to him, and I don't know why. You know, you beat yourself up about this once you're older. I wasn't very communicative with my father, and there's no reason for that really, because he was wonderful, such a kind man. I wonder why that is. Don't know. Good. I think that's it on there, isn't it? Anyone else want to call in this evening? Do so nice and quickly. We've only got about 7 minutes left of the show this evening. I'll just give out the phone number one more time.
Call in now. 020-8144-3477.
Oh, I do like that jingle. Don't forget, Dave Squires is with you after the 11 o'clock news this evening, boys and girls. Now, we got hot cross buns soon, haven't we? Easter is on the way. I've just got a lovely Easter egg for my mate who will really appreciate it. From Claridge's are doing Easter eggs. They're a little bit pricey, but if you're into that sort of thing, you know, he will really appreciate a Claridge's Easter egg. So I've got him one of those. If you were buying me an Easter egg, I've got to tell you, I'm quite happy with a Cadbury's Flake. Or a Galaxy or something like that. I don't need posh stuff or anything like that, all right? So looking forward to Easter eggs in just under 2 weeks' time now. Vera's getting very excited because it's almost at the end of Lent. And Vera has done much, much better than me with her Lenten stuff, haven't you, darling? You know you have, dear. She's done really well, so she's looking forward to Easter where she can have a few sweets and other little bits and pieces. But just before that, of course, we've got Good Friday, and Good Friday means hot cross buns. Heinz, reported in the Daily Star, is back with another weird and wacky seasonal product launch, this time releasing hot cross bun flavoured mayonnaise. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I'm going to go for that one. It's an extreme new product, hot cross bun mayonnaise, made from rich and creamy mayonnaise, and pieces of real hot cross bun. Comes in a limited edition of 100 jars. Oh dear, I'm not liking the sound of that. Oh, talking of limited edition, get yourself down to ALD. It was in there 2 years ago. It's back. Mars spread. Seriously, Mars bar spread. Spoon it out of the jar. Put it on ice cream. It's delicious. All right. Time for me to go, boys and girls. Thanks very much. I'll be back with you at Reach on Air just after the 9 o'clock news tomorrow morning. I'll leave you with this one.
This city has a special morning voice. Speaks to me through an open window, masquerading as noise. 10 million people waking up. And somehow I'm the lucky guy who gets to make you a coffee cup. And if I ever forget what matters most, if I am giving up the ghost, remind me, babe, and I will do my best to recall. And if I stumble and fall, if I make a mess of it all,
start. And if I ever forget what matters most, if I am giving up the ghost, remind me, babe, and I will do my best to recall. And if I stumble and fall, if I make a mess of it all, remind me, babe, and I will do